Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Melissa Cecilia, and we're here today to review Fahrenheit 451 by Ray Bradbury. So this I picked, I had read this in school a long time ago, but thought it was a good time for a refresher and a supplementary read to other dystopian novels I have that are classics on my shelf, like A Brave New World by Aldous Huxley and 1984 by George Orwell. So I thought it was time for a deep dive into Fahrenheit 451, especially because I've really gotten into reading books lately. I've been into books for a while, but I just have started to really love them and really love going to half price books and shopping on Amazon, and sometimes like going for really rare finds of a book that someone's recommended and spending lots of money on them. So I've really fallen in love with books lately. And I remembered this dystopian tale about firemen being sent out to homes to burn books, and I felt a need to read it. So anyway, this is by Ray Bradbury. It was written in 1953. I heard it described really well, and so instead of using my own words, I'll use these words to describe the book for you. It's an independent, here we go, I'll hold it over here. It's an independent thought, it's about independent thought on the brink of extinction. And it's also a parable about a society that is complicit in its own combustion. So, and it indeed was about that. A little bit about Ray Bradbury. I'm not really sure where he stood. I know he was friends with a lot of interesting people. He was a massive fan of Disney. As a matter of fact, Disney and him worked together. He was a big supporter of Disneyland. Disney made a movie of his writing called Something Wicked Comes This Way. So Disney was supporting his work in return as Ray Bradbury supporting Disney. Ray Bradbury helped design Spaceship Earth for Magic Kingdom's Tomorrowland. And also Ray Bradbury's story, The Halloween Tree, which is another one of his writings, is honored in the form of an actual tree and is decorated every Halloween since 2007 at Disney's Frontierland. So he has a lot of ties with Disney. That's something to consider when thinking about Ray Bradbury and kind of where his mindset was at. He said of religion and science that it's two sides of the same coin. It's myth and theory, and it all ends in mystery. So he wasn't exactly an Orthodox Christian, but nonetheless, I thought his novel was very insightful and similar to George Orwell's and Aldous Huxley's writing about real concerns for a dystopian future, totalitarian fears. I guess I'll start with a little bit about the novel. The main character is a fireman named Guy Montage or Montag. I don't know how to say it. And he is tasked with, of course, going to these homes and being a firefighter by lighting on fire anyone suspected of having books, so burning the books and sometimes burning the people that are holding the books as a service to society. Because if one person gets too smart, it'll make the other people feel bad. So we need to nullify that. Going back out of the novel just a bit, he was super inspired by Arthur Koestler's novel Darkness at Noon, which was about kind of Russian totalitarianism. So I thought that was interesting. That was a little side note. But yes, so, and of course, that was all about getting rid of smart intellectual people. He also was writing this in the time of the Red Scare, like McCarthyism, where a lot of artists were being persecuted. And he was concerned about that as well. So I thought that was interesting when he was talking about how this dystopian society had a need to get rid of intellectual thought because it will make other people feel bad, and we all need to be the same in order to be happy. You don't need to have anything else other than basically bread and circuses, right? So speaking of bread and circuses, he makes a lot of references to mass media and how in his dystopia, this is again written in 1953, so this is a long time ago, he was making ideas of commercials and like little rom-coms or whatever, just cheesy, mind-numbing programs being projected on the walls. And then people, when they got money, would buy another projector and project it on another wall. So his wife, he lived with a wife named Millie, and she was completely inundated with mass media. She had a little earpiece that overnight would, talk to her and tell her stories and sing little melodies in her ear all night long. So she was never in silence. She always had something in her ears or being projected that she could look at, that was keeping her in this docile, catatonic state that you get when you consume mass media. That was his wife. And eventually Guy Montag started waking up and realizing that this is kind of a loveless marriage, and that made him sad. And so you are going with the protagonist on this journey of waking up himself. And as he starts to become a little bit rebellious and getting books of his own from these homes that he's supposed to be firemanning or lighting on fire, he has been taking a book here and there. He tries to wake his wife up and his wife's friends, and that's sort of leads to his downfall and being persecuted in a big way. It also made references to him being the running man, and that as he was caught, he eventually, I'm not going to ruin the book for you, but he was basically a running man on the run, a fugitive, and the state was after him, and they had all this, and it was on camera, and everybody in their homes was watching him as he's on the run. And where's the fugitive? We're going to find him, right? And I thought that was interesting because I've seen Arnold Schwarzenegger's Running Man, and so that kind of connected some pieces for me. I haven't done the deep dive to see if the Running Man was inspired by Fahrenheit 451, but that term Running Man was certainly in here. Other than that, he also blames, towards the end, he kind of doesn't necessarily blame the state 100% for having the dystopia in the state that it was in, or in the current conditions that it was in, by taking it over. He blames the masses. He thinks that it was the apathy of the masses in the first place that led to not appreciating the books. And then, of course, that could lead to this dictatorship type scenario where you're led to burn the books and the masses just don't care. Nobody fights it, and they just kind of let it happen, and they drift off into the sleepiness of apathy and complacency, and they like their bread and circuses, if you will, while the elites do what they're going to do. So I think that's about it. Side note, I had not heard of this, but when I was doing my research, someone wrote a song about Ray Bradbury. So if you guys have any interest in being scandalized, look up Rachel Does Stuff, the song about Ray Bradbury. So, and then another fun fact, Fahrenheit 451, the title was picked out because supposedly Ray Bradbury called the UC, the Los Angeles Fire Department, and asked them at what temperature paper burns, and they said that it was at Fahrenheit 451. So that's the title of the book. Overall, his writing style, I did not love, nearly as much as a book I read recently, Frankenstein, which was so beautifully written. It certainly had some poetry in it. I can tell that he liked poetry. I can tell that he was a reader. And he had his own way of writing things. It's probably me, so I won't say anything too bad about it, but it was a different writing style. It was a little bit difficult for me to get through at times. It seemed choppy, but I think the choppiness was intentional, and probably if I had slowed down to appreciate it, it would have made sense. But it was not as easy of a read as I expected, but the points nevertheless were come across just as strongly. There were 2 movies made about this book. One was in 1966 with Oscar Werner, and then the most recent one with Michael B. Jordan was from 2018. And I purposefully did not watch the movie yet. I'm actually probably going to today or tomorrow because I didn't want it to ruin the notes that I had for this podcast. Sometimes when I watch, images are very effective on me. So I try to wait for a while before I watch the movie, which is, of course, infiltrated by Hollywood and it's propaganda at its finest. So I hate to sully the original text by clouding my mind with the propaganda of the movie. So I do plan to see it. I like Michael B. Jordan. And I like movies. So I'm going to wait just a little bit. And, but here's, nevertheless, that is the analysis for you. Yeah, I think that's all I have. Until the next time, you guys keep reading. Enjoy the rest of your week, and I will talk to you soon.